Hey guys, welcome to Your Best Interviews. My name is Eric Smith. Thank you so much for spending the time here with me. I know there's a lot of places you can go, so certainly appreciate your attention and your viewership. Today, what I want to talk about is interview personas. So those that you're going to interview with, how this shifts how you prepare, the questions that you're going to ask, all these different things. So it's really important to understand who you're meeting with and what their objective is in the interview, because this impacts information that you're going to share, what you're trying to convey, and the goal, right? And the ultimate goal should be to move forward in the interview process. And so I get this question all the time, and my first question is always, who are you interviewing with? Is it the recruiter, the hiring manager, or somebody within HR? How early in the process are you? It's really important to understand all these different things, right? So if you're early in the process, if you're doing a phone interview, typically that's done with the recruiter or somebody within HR, usually the HR manager. What their goal is to look at your resume and screen it against the job description to make sure that you are on paper qualified and that they should move you forward to strengthen their pipeline for the hiring manager. So what they're typically going to do is, and keep in mind, most phone interviews are like 30 minutes or so. And so they're limited in the number of questions that they can ask because they're likely going to ask, what questions do you have? Right? And so they're going to ask 3, 4, maybe 5 questions total before your time is consumed. What I would recommend is just think through your experiences and what their objective is to screen against your resume, right? So study your resume, study the job description, and understand how to translate your experience, your resume, to the actual job description. Because the HR manager, recruiter, typically they don't know the role as well as the hiring manager. They're going off the job description. They're going off of what they read are important pieces for the job. And so they're strictly reading off that job description to determine, are you qualified? And so I would really study that job description, and I would make sure that you are practicing exactly how to translate your resume to that job description. Because again, they're just screening to make sure on paper that you are a qualified candidate. And so get really, really good at translating your experience on your resume over to the job description and speaking directly to that. You want to make their job as easy as possible to move you forward to that next step, right? The hiring manager is probably going to dig a little deeper, want to have actual examples, get some better insight into your specific experience within your resume, as opposed to how well it connects with the job description, right? So if it's early in the process, if you're meeting with the recruiter or HR manager, you really, your goal is to just translate as clearly and as plainly as possible. And you want to try and match keywords, you want to try and match job titles, match all those things, and make sure that you understand in those key responsibilities and key requirements that your answers are aligning to those things, because that is what an HR manager or recruiter is listening for in your responses to their questions. So really get good at practicing that. And then the other side is when you get later in the interview process and you're meeting with a hiring manager. That's when you really want to make sure that you are honing in on what they're asking, right? So they've seen your resume. Typically, they have a really good understanding of what the day-to-day is and what they need. And so your job is to just make sure that you can speak to specific examples and just articulate why you are the best candidate, and that you can hit the ground running and get into the job and start being successful for them as fast as possible. So those are the things you want to think about, guys. I always mention interview personas. This is what I mean, is just really thinking about who you're interviewing with and what their objective and what they're going to be looking for when they're interviewing you. Typically, recruiter and HR, they are just making sure that you are a qualified candidate on paper and that they are building the strongest pipeline to go to that hiring manager. And so make their job as easy as possible. Really read that job description, know exactly how to translate your experience to that job. And then when you get in front of the hiring manager, that's when you're going to be asked more specifics. You want to make sure that you're buttoned up on your behavioral stories that they're likely going to ask, or some experience stories that you can share with them. But then from there, it's just really selling your ability to hit the ground running and be an asset to their team early on. Hopefully this was helpful, guys. Check out my video library. Check out my website. I do have a course around everything interviewing. So if you're interviewing now or get nerves and want to help with that, I've got a comprehensive course centered on this specifically. I also drop 2 videos every week on Monday and Wednesday. So if this is helpful, hit subscribe right now and check out all the new content that's coming. My goal is to just center all of my experience, which is in HR and the hiring process and working with top companies on how they hire, and translating all that experience into packageable tactical advices for you as the job seeker, because I know how stressful this time is when you're going through the job search process or interview process. So thanks so much again for being here. Check out my other stuff, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.